Hey guys, welcome to our channel. So we've been decoding REM Losing My Religion. Said enough, changed to set it up. And I didn't think I was going to get this done, but I squeezed it out at the last minute. So I figured I'd try to squeeze out the video as well. That way, the next time I get to it, I can just work on the next category. And we've gotten a variance percent of 2.1%, which isn't very much. I've been estimating, and I've said it multiple times, that it might, maybe if we got a 25% variance, which I don't know that we ever will, that maybe more people would take notice outside of the Mandela Effect community. And as I mentioned to Danny in a comment today, even all the Mandela Effect community doesn't see all the changes, and that could have something to do as well with these low variance percents. Some of them being under 1%. This one could be under 1% if we'd have just counted the phrase, which would have been okay, but I went ahead and gave it. I counted each word and said it popped up. So, I actually gave it a little bit, and that's fine too. That both would be acceptable. So 2.1%. Not much. Not really for noticing. So good job to maybe it's Mandela for even catching it. So we've gotten our extraction letters to go through stock market, finance, genetics, medical, and now we're on chemical. All right. So oh, so set enough, change to set it up, and if you cross off the S because it's still in set it up, you cross off the I because it's still in set it up. You cross off the E because it's still in set it up. You cross off this U because it's still in set it up. You're left with A, D, N, O, G, H, T, T, P. And that happened twice. So we brought A, D, N, O, G, H, T, T, P down twice. And once you get through this overlap, unless we flip the numbers or the letters around, which I'm not going to at this time because I think we have a real nice suspect, then you're done and you can move on to backwards. And then once you get halfway back, you're done again because it repeats in this manner. All right. So if we start with AD, we have AD Chemical Incorporated. They're a chemical company. All right. Move on from that. You have ADN, which ends up being adibon adibonidyl, ADN. Ascend Performance. It's a material. Ascend Performance Material. This is a premium provider of high quality chemicals. All right. You move on from that. You have AD. Oh no, ADN is also ammonium ammonium dinitramidide. Tramidide. Oh, disclaimer. It seems like I have to do this every single time, guys. On some of these, you are going to, if you go through these links, you will see cerveza bug information. All right. Disclaimer, we don't believe in it. My fiance and I don't believe in it as presented. We just don't. We think it's a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of BS. So, view any and all cerveza bug information. I think we all know what I'm talking about. At your own discretion. At your own discretion. Not mine, not anybody else's, at your discretion. View it at your discretion. Have I said that enough? View it at your own discretion. Read it at your own discretion. Use your own discretion when viewing it, if you choose to view it. All right. And again, that's going to be here multiple times. I can't help it. It just is. So if we move on from that, you end up with DN, which ends up being DN chemicals. And there are multiple sources for that, and it's a foreign company. I'm not too sure what language it is. I didn't really try to figure it out. I was trying to get through this. But if you move on from that, you have DNO, and that ends up being DNO oil and chemicals, and they deal with turbo engine oil. And they're in New Delhi, and I believe that's India. All right, India. Well, that's where Odisha Care Hospital was, right? It was in India. It wasn't. It was tertiary care hospital in Odisha, India, right? So from another effect. All right. If you move on from that, you have OG, which ends up being Oganessoa on the periodic table of elements, and it is a highly radioactive metal, only a few atoms ever made. Highly radioactive metal. All right, if you move on from that, you have GH, which ends up being GH chemicals. And they are a licensed zinc oxide supplier. All right. If we move on from that, you end up with GA. Oh, no, we don't move on. GH just also ends up being a growth hormone. All right. So if we move on from that, you have GHT, which ends up being GHT Chemical Corporation. So there's another chemical company. If you move on from that, you have HT, which ends up being sulfur mustard agent. HT. That is C12H2401 or I4053 on PubChem, and that's mustard gas. So I don't know how much I think of that being there, but it's there. Mustard gas, sulfur mustard agent, HT. HT is also HT Fine Chemical Company Ltd. HT is also chemical lectures of HT Sheffer. All right, so there's a few things going on with that. If you move on from that, you have TT, which ends up being TT Chemicals Private Limited. So there's another chemical company. If you move on from that, you have TTP, which ends up being, I knew I didn't want to try to pronounce this one, thymidine 5 triphosphate, and C10H17N2O, and those are O's, not zeros, by the way, if I'm saying O. 1P3, and that's on, it's on PubChem, but there's also multiple sources. I believe ChemSpider was another source, so they can hit any of those sources and hit anything on them once they hit them. So, at least in theory. TTP is also chemistry, AS, TTP, Volunteer State Community College. And I believe that's in Tennessee, so there's another college they can hit. All right. If you move on from that, you have TPA, which ends up being teraphtalic acid, C8H604 on PubChem. And I believe there are multiple sources that they can hit once they hit that chemical. All right, if you move on from that, you have PA, which ends up being Pennsylvania Chemicals, and I'll provide that search because there's multiple sources for Pennsylvania Chemicals. But that seems to be about all there is, guys. So, and if you move on from that, I went ahead and took TAPD, which ends up being Advanced Biological, Physical, and Chemical Treatment, and Temperature Phased Anaerobic Digestion. All right. So, and that gets you through going forward because now we're through the overlap and it's going to start to repeat. unless I rearrange the letters, which I'm not going to do right now. I don't think I'm going to need to. So now we're going to start coming backwards, and you end up with PT coming back, and that ends up being platinum on the periodic table of elements, and that's a shiny, silvery, white metal resistant to corrosion as gold. Now, I think we probably all kind of know what platinum is. But if you move on from that, you have PTT, which ends up being PTT Global Chemical Company Limited. Again, I'm not sure what I think of the word global when I see it anymore. Not so sure I like it, but there it is. That's what it is. And if you move on from that, you have THG, which ends up being another thing I'm going to try to pronounce here. Tetrahydrogestro tetrahydrogestrinone. Gestrinone. C21H28. I believe that is an O2. Maybe that's a 02. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's on PubChem. I'll provide the link. You can check it out. If you move on from that, you have HGO, which ends up being mercury oxide on PubChem. That has a formula HGO. So mercury oxide. If you move on from that, you have ND, which ends up being neodymium on the periodic table of elements, which is a silvery white metal, rapidly tarnishes in air. And ND is also University of North Dakota College of Chemical Engineering and Mines. And it looks like I forgot to write, or didn't, forgot's the wrong word. I just missed writing the word chemical. But chemical engineering and mines. So there's chemical engineering at North Dakota University, and we highlighted them again because there they are again. And they're our quantum network suspect right now. It's really not looking like anything's going to change our mind on that. The algorithm kind of hid it from us, and it's coming up over and over. But we have to specifically type it, and that's fine. I can do that because I know it exists. So, if you move on from that, well, I knew North Dakota. All right, I didn't know. I guess I knew of University of North Dakota, but I knew ND was North Dakota, and when that didn't come up, I got suspicious, guys. All right, most of you who've been following along know that already, but I'll explain it again. If you move on from that, you have DA, which ends up being Toxic Substance Control Act, and I got the link. DA is all through that. If you move on from that, you have NDA, which ends up being NDA classification codes, FDA, and there's multiple sources for that. And I believe I provided that search. And if you move on from that, you had DAP. You're in the overlap, by the way, and that is diammonium phosphate, DAP. And that gets you through going forwards and backwards in chemicals. Chemicals. Doesn't really matter. All right. It's been one of those days, guys. But, all right. So that gets you through going forwards and backwards in chemical, in the chemical category. And next, we will do laboratories, followed by research groups, followed by technology, then random hits. I keep thinking I want to run an artificial intelligence one, guys, because it seems like we were getting a lot of artificial intelligence hits at one point, and recently they've stopped coming up so much. And I wonder if that has to do with the algorithms. So I wonder if we should start running an artificial intelligence category. Maybe I should. Maybe we'll start right here and run an AI category. I'll think about that, guys. I'll think about it. I mean, that's just more work, really. But considering that artificial intelligence quit coming up and we were getting it all the time before, and like when we're hitting our random hits and stuff, we're not seeing a lot of artificial intelligence, and I've noticed that lately. And it's something I'm going to think about doing, is running in the artificial intelligence category and just see what's there and what isn't there. So I think we're going to do that, but I'll think about it. So if I do, I'll throw that in there somewhere. So, all right, that's going to be it for this one. But we will do laboratories next, I think. I'll think about it, guys. I'm going to think about it. I'm kind of having a hard time with this because I've been thinking about it. It's been on my mind a little bit. This artificial intelligence hasn't been coming up lately, but we were getting it all the time. Those of you who were following along would know that. Phoenix, you probably know that. You remember the artificial intelligence, right? So anyway, for now, guys, sorry about rambling there. Thanks for all your thumbs up, thumbs down when appropriate. And by the way, if you're still with me and you get anything out of these videos, please thumb up. And thanks for all your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions. Either laboratories will be next, or if not, I might just run that artificial intelligence category. And that's just to see what's there and what isn't there, guys. I'm not too worried about that going all the way through. That's one category I'm not going to worry about going all the way through. The rest of these, I am worried about going all the way through. But I'm not sure the artificial intelligence category will go all the way through. We just want to see what's there and what isn't there if we do it. So, and if it starts going all the way through, then we'll expect it to go all the way through, like the others. So I guess we'll see what happens with that, or if we decide to do it. So anyway, thanks for all your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions. And I think I already went through this. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, it's been one of those days. And for now, you guys have a great rest of your evening.